The Cleanup Crew. A Drift Story. In the quirky town of Evergreen Harbor, where white quarrystone sparkled like an overachieving beacon of cleanliness, Drift Wilcox was the living embodiment of, you might want to sit this one out. As a toddler, Drift's days were a whirlwind of toilet splashing, epic messes, and a gourmet diet of questionable trash root.
Yummy!
Raised by his hyper-busy doctor alien mom, Hallie, and his easygoing merman dad, Dolph, hygiene was a foreign concept to him, especially as a half-mermaid. After all, why would a little guy like him bother with baths when the backyard pool was practically a luxury spa? From a young age, Drift made it abundantly clear that lifting a finger was a mystery best left unsolved. Thank goodness for the butler, who was practically on permanent duty. Even Drift's teeth were in a constant battle with decay, falling out as predictably as socks vanishing into the dryer's vortex of doom. To Drift, cleanliness was as foreign as a unicorn's diet. Showers were for overachievers, and teeth brushing was a bedtime story concocted by overly ambitious dentists. Nope, not for Drift. Instead, Drift was more into perfecting the art of movie watching and pizza ordering, leaving greasy handprints as his personal signature. His total disregard for cleanliness even drove the butler to quit, an impressive feat in the Guinness Book of Slob. The peak of Drift's childhood ambition? Summoning his mom to tackle the mythical beast lurking under his bed, because really, battling monsters was worth the effort. As a teen, Drift's ambition matched his GPA. 0, zip, nada. His academic highlight? The empty school pool, where he'd casually saunter during class to hydrate in pure mermaid fashion. There he napped like a pro, turning poolside snoozing into an art form. Lunchtime was his moment of glory, emerging from his slumber just in time to claim his cafeteria grub. Drift's dedication to avoiding effort made him a local enigma. Less a legend, more a marvel of supreme laziness. Prom season rolled around, and Drift, the social equivalent of a cactus, found himself reluctantly involved thanks to his well-meaning but relentless mom. Her mission? Get him to do something. Anything. That didn't involve him glued to the couch. She dangled the ultimate bait. A buffet stocked with free food. For Drift, this was the golden ticket. To seal the deal, his mom expertly steered him into asking GINA, a fellow social outcast from his class, to prom. GINA was frequently the target of cruel jokes, but Drift, in classic Drift fashion, had never even noticed she existed. It wasn't that he didn't care about status or looks. He simply couldn't muster the energy. GINA was just another blur in the melodramatic slideshow of high school. Now, Drift wasn't exactly a social butterfly. More like a soggy napkin at a party. Just kind of there, awkward and easily ignored. So when Angel Mahajan, the head cheerleader of Copperdale High, and her entourage decided to swoop down on his residence for a pre-prom celebration, the whole scene was predictably shady. They couldn't resist the comedy gold of two social outcasts like Drift and his date actually going to prom. Their idea of a good time? Turning Drift's house into a dart-throwing arena, with inside jokes so sharp they could double as ninja stars. Add in a steady stream of patronizing smiles, and it was clear their mission was to turn Drift's sanctuary into a circus of mild torment. Drift, feeling like the last kid picked for dodgeball, tried to put on a brave face. Meanwhile, Angel, though not the mastermind of the mischief, was far too engrossed in a texting war with her boyfriend to intervene, offering Drift and his date little more than a cursory glance as her friends had their fun at the couple's expense. At the prom, Drift's social skills were about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. After making a beeline for the buffet and enduring one awkward dance with his date, he promptly found a quiet corner and dozed off, feeling as out of place as a snowman at a beach party. Meanwhile, Angel was in full spotlight mode, juggling the drama of being dumped by her boyfriend and the exhausting task of keeping her queen bee crown from slipping. Seeing her distress, Drift, still bleary-eyed from his nap, attempted a clumsy consolation, only to be met with her repulsed disdain, as if he had suggested she wear a potato sack instead of her elegant gown. A few days later, at the local ER, Drift's mom, Hallie, found herself tending to Angel for an unusually unfortunate case of llama flu. Yes, it's a thing. As she applied her medical magic, Hallie, caught up in Angel's breakup saga and, feeling a sudden burst of matchmaking zeal, invited her to Drift's upcoming surprise birthday party. Of course, Hallie had no clue Angel and Drift had already crossed paths or that she was unwittingly setting the stage for a repeat performance of their last disastrous encounter. At the party, Drift's surprise at seeing Angel and her entourage was matched only by her shock at arriving at his house. She expected a wild bash, not a gathering that could be mistaken for a Pet Rock's annual social event. Drift, with the party hosting finesse of a doorknob, attempted to strike up a conversation, but Angel, still stinging from her very public breakup, and faced with Drift's underwhelming celebration, was as cold as a freezer left open in a blizzard. In an attempt to break the ice, and perhaps stir up some amusement, Drift asked for her autograph. Angel, as dismissive as a cat with a laser pointer, signed it just to escape. Her friends, after stirring up a bit of light-hearted cruelty, quickly realized the night was a dud, and they all made a swift exit. Drift, unfazed and more interested in the catering options, shrugged and went back to enjoying the snacks, barely noticing that the party had become as lively as a dentist's waiting room. Back at school, Drift found himself squarely in the crosshairs of Angel's friends, who were eager to add a new chapter to their prankster chronicles. They dared him to deface the classroom whiteboard, framing it as harmless fun. Drift went along, unaware that Angel's friends had already tipped off the teacher, turning Drift's rebellious artistry into an express ticket to a week of detention. Rumors swirled about how Angel's friends orchestrated the whole fiasco, but Angel, determined to cling to her social crown, zipped her lips like a top-secret vault. As if that wasn't enough, Drift's grades were tanking faster than a lead balloon, and teachers were giving him the evil eye for catching Z's during class. Feeling like the universe had handed him the world's largest wedgie, Drift retreated to the nearest bathroom stall for some much-needed isolation. Enter the principal, clipboard in hand and disapproval dialed up to 11, ready to deliver the final blow to Drift's already battered academic career. Instead of cowering or plotting a dramatic escape, Drift leaned back in his stall with a bemused smile. With the casual ease of someone who just found the perfect napping spot, he shrugged and declared, "Well, if this is how it's going to be, then I'm officially dropping out of high school." Now, if you think the natural place for someone like Drift would be lounging on a sun-soaked beach, sipping a cocktail with a tiny umbrella, then you'd be absolutely right. Drift made his way to the sandy shores of Sulani, where life was the stuff of dreams. A dream about permanently setting the snooze button to on. And not too shabby for mermaid folk either. And as luck would have it, while exploring the beaches and searching for buried treasure, or just a decent meal, Drift stumbled upon a dilapidated shipwreck, a relic that had drifted in from a bygone era. To Drift, it wasn't just the perfect house, it was the ultimate symbol of his laid-back philosophy. Why bother fixing things when you can let nature handle it? His so-called luxuries included a generator that hummed with all the power of a dying flashlight, and a water pump that had you second-guessing the value of a good old-fashioned bucket. A typical day for Drift began with a slow-motion rise around noon, sporting nothing but underwear and flip-flops, his fashion statement of choice for the ages. He'd waddle over to the bubble blower for his morning blow and glow, followed by a breakfast of leftover juice from the night before. Don't ask how it got there. It's a mystery even he wasn't keen on solving. The beach was his kingdom, and his daily routine was a masterclass in relaxation. Nap, sip juice, nap some more, and occasionally cast a befuddled glance at the local bulletin board when bills came knocking. Drift's ventures into odd jobs were as predictable as his napping habits. He'd only surface when his bank account was as empty as a goldfish bowl after a house party. But where Drift truly shined was in his treasure hunting skills. Dumpster diving was his sport, and his crowning achievement? A lobster roll, liberated from a beachfront restaurant, executed with the stealth of a ninja and the precision of a Swiss watch. As for his part merman perks, Drift's newfound dolphin buddies made him the beach's unofficial treasure hunter. They were overworked but crucial allies in Drift's grand mission to maintain a blissfully lazy lifestyle. It was years later when Drift and Angel's paths crossed again in a twist of fate so outrageous it could snag a Starlight accolade. Drift was still rocking his trademark unshaven, odoriferous charm, while Angel, the former queen bee of high school, with a fan base that could have filled an arena, had since soared to fame. One fateful night at a local nightclub, a beachside hotspot where the juice flowed like a river and the drama was always thicker than a soap opera script, Drift, stationed at his usual spot, recognized Angel, and with the cluelessness of someone who's never seen a Do Not Disturb sign, wandered up to her. Angel, irritated by Drift's audacity and feeling his very existence was an assault on her meticulously cultivated air of untouchability, found Drift's intrusion as welcome as a mosquito in her tropical juice. And oh, did she erupt! Her volcanic outburst was so epic it could have been the jaw-dropping plot twist of a blockbuster film. Then, to Drift's utter bewilderment, she launched into a passionate advance. Drift, ever the opportunist, embraced the chaos with open arms and eagerly went along with the wild, juice-filled escapade like he'd just been handed the keys to a candy store. Their impromptu romance spiraled into a nearby photo booth where sparks flew, and not just from the malfunctioning light bulbs. And just when you thought you'd seen it all, Drift delivered the ultimate party foul, peeing himself despite the venue boasting not 1, not 2, but 6 toilets. Drift, true to form, couldn't be bothered to rush to any of them, solidifying his status as the king of casual catastrophe. As Angel stood in the warm puddle, her senses finally kicked in, and with a horrified "ew," she bolted from the photo booth and raced out the door. It was many months before Drift heard from her again, when Angel dropped the bombshell that they had a son together named Damien. Seeing Drift face to face again and overwhelmed by the thought of forever being entwined with him, Angel spiraled into existential dread, like a cat discovering a full bathtub. Meanwhile, Drift took it all in stride, his concern level barely nudging from meh. Without missing a beat, Angel zoomed off to Del Sol Valley on an acting gig, leaving Damien with Drift for a few weeks. Just as Drift was getting accustomed to diaper duty and toddler tantrums, Angel's life took a turn for the absurd when she met her untimely end at the paws of a killer rabbit. Yes, you heard that right. A killer rabbit. With Angel gone, Drift was reluctantly catapulted into full-time dad mode. But fear not. The new responsibilities blended effortlessly into his already delightfully lazy lifestyle. More mess, more naps, more juice, and the occasional puzzled glance of, well, this is new. Picture this. A crib made from an old bathtub, proudly perched on the sand under a beach umbrella that looked like it had survived a few too many windstorms, creating the most unconventional nursery anyone could imagine. Nearby, Drift lounged in his chair while the crusty beach blanket, strewn with baby bottles and dirty diapers, resembled an infant's ultimate free-for-all. Inside the boat, the scene was no less chaotic. Cluttered with pizza boxes and half-eaten food, turning the interior into a rat's all-you-can-eat buffet. Vermin scurried around, thrilled with their culinary options, while spiders began to take over every corner. Little Damien, with the enthusiasm of a junior archaeologist, forged through the mess with a carefree spirit, completely unfazed by the humble accommodations that epitomized Drift's dedication to living life on easy mode. Drift's chill vibe almost took a nosedive when his mom, Hallie, now proudly crowned Nana, stormed into his house with the energy of a caffeine-charged tornado and plant-based zeal that could probably fuel a rocket. While Drift snoozed under the sun, blissfully indifferent to the mayhem surrounding him, Hallie was on a mission to transform his nautical wreck into something that wouldn't earn her grandson a biohazard badge. The boat, once a paradise for pests, became the front line in Hallie's war against mold and grime. Armed with a mop and an endless supply of eco-friendly cleaners, she battled filth like a caffeinated crusader, all while sneakily instilling wellness routines into little Damien's day. As Damien grew older, it became as clear as a freshly polished mirror that he and his father were living in completely different universes. Damien, with a cleanliness obsession that could make even the most dedicated housekeeper break into a sweat, channeled his inner Nana Hallie and waged a one-man war against dust buddies and disorder. When Damien finally graduated high school, he didn't just leave the boat. He practically shot out of there like it was on fire, eager to escape the chaos and start fresh. Despite their rocky relationship, Damien generously offered a chance for his father to move elsewhere with him, hoping a little order might finally sink in. Drift, with a mischievous grin, turned down the offer, fully aware that Damien's suggestion came with an unspoken clause: actual cleaning. And Drift, he had zero intention of scrubbing away his gloriously messy ways. A few years down the road, with his golden years already well underway, Fate decided to play its wildest card yet. Drift was abducted by aliens. Yes, you read that right. And as you might expect, nothing says reevaluate your life choices like a close encounter of the extraterrestrial kind. Nervous that his mountain of trash might be acting as some sort of alien homing signal, the now silver-haired Drift grudgingly agreed to move in with Damien and his new partner Keat, despite the thought of enforced cleanliness and a regular bathing requirement. Of course, it was a disaster from the get-go. For months, Damien and Keat made valiant efforts to impose order, like trying to teach Drift not to use the dining table as a canvas for his chewed food, or the swimming pool as a bathroom.
Ew.
Keat, a self-proclaimed neat freak with a penchant for pristine perfection, quickly realized he was in over his head. No amount of vacuuming, organizing, or pleading could tame Drift's legendary laziness. Drift's classic why bother attitude turned each attempt into an infuriating exercise in futility. The final straw came during a charity livestream Keat was hosting. While Keat earnestly addressed the camera, Drift meandered by, leaving a trail of pizza sauce on the rug as if it was his personal guide to gourmet dining for the neighborhood pests. As if that weren't enough, Drift then passed gas with such gusto that it could have been mistaken for a live sound effect, resulting in an unfortunately conspicuous brown stain spreading across the back of his boxers. Talk about gambling and losing. Drift, blissfully oblivious, wondered why everyone was so upset, while the live stream's viewers were treated to an impromptu spectacle that earned Keat some rather unwanted fame. Unbeknownst to Damien, Keat, driven to his wits' end by Drift's unrelenting messiness and lack of decorum, hatched a plan that very evening. The next day, Keat presented Drift with a floral arrangement, subtly scented with the sweet fragrance of death flower, a bouquet with a remarkably potent and final message. And so Drift's story ended with all the subtlety of a dumpster fire at a landfill, leaving behind the legacy of undefeated couch potato champion and a cautionary tale about the dangers of neglecting to clean up your act.